Take a towel here and wrap around the top because the cream will come up and it gets a little messy. You can hear it as it's going up and down, it's whipping up the cream. And that's what you do. You whip the cream until you get whipped cream, which you can tell because it gets really stiff. And then you just keep churning until you hit what I call sloshing stage. And that's when it's actually separated. And what you're going to hear is the buttermilk washing up on the sides of the churn. I tend to like to kind of alternate and move my hand back and forth a little bit to give it a little bit more agitation. Believe it or not, this was a job that was generally given out to the girls or the children of the family. And I'm sure they did not appreciate it, but it kept them out of trouble for quite a while. Sometimes if it was really cold, what they would do is try to be near the fire, or if they had a stove, near the stove to kind of warm it up, because if the temperature is too cold, even with a wooden churn, you're going to have trouble turning it into butter. Today the temperature is about right, so we're going to see how fast we can make this. To be honest, butter can be made anywhere from, if it's really warm and whatever, and how much you're churning, it can be made in as little as 15 minutes. I've also had to churn butter for well over an hour. So it varies according to temperature, how much your cream you're churning, and also the speed of the agitation. Sometimes I've had visitors come in and I'll say, you want to churn butter, and they move like this. That is not going to churn butter. I also tend to grip the churn with my feet, because if I don't, the stickiness of the cream on the dash will lift it up. And it does get sticky. Let me just take a quick peek here. Oh, it's starting to whip, so that is good. And as you saw, it is starting to turn into whipped cream. And this is what you want. In fact, I may have a little bit of kernel here of butterfat. So it is starting to move right along, which is great. During this time in the large cities, you'll find that they actually did have commercial butter making. I wouldn't call them factories, but shops where they would commercially make the butter. But if you lived on a farm and you had a cow, what you would do is after milking, you'd let it sit, and as the cream came to the top, you would skim that off and set it aside. And when you had enough, then you would churn it into butter. I can imagine the pioneers when they came out, a lot of them, they might have had a crock churn or a wooden churn. But I can't imagine the crock churns would have survived the journey very well unless they were really packed well. So a wooden churn is probably the simplest to bring. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to listen to see if we've got any liquid yet. I don't know if you can hear the sloshing, but it's starting now and it really sounds good. So as I'm churning, what I'm doing, the butter particles or the fat particles are being packed to the bottom, and the liquid buttermilk is coming to the top. Let's take a look and see what we have here. Ooh. I don't know if you can see that, but we have yellow butter. I can still do some more.